Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan,
Hello，下午好。
非常荣幸今天我们能够有这个机会聊一聊犹太家族、财富传承、子女教育一系列的问题。Okay, Jonathan. Well, now let's talk about money. You're a money man. Managed the wealth for a long time. Obviously, all the Chinese families want to pass the wealth to the second generation. A lot of them have issues and have difficulties in doing that. What are the weaknesses you have observed in your experience managing the family wealth for Chinese? What's the difference between Chinese second generation and Jewish second generation?
In Australia, in particular, what I find is that the Chinese families have quite a short-dated approach to investing capital and tend to follow the same that was successful for them in China, or same approaches, and that unfortunately doesn't lead to the best outcomes. The few problems that have been very obvious to me, the first one is that the Chinese have tended to invest in some financial products that have very high commission returns, but not necessarily actually are in themselves very good products. So that's a big problem to start with, because it's not necessarily the best deals in Australia that they find. The second problem is that they are not diversified enough. So they might tend to do quite a few projects in property or hotels or big land projects, but this is all one type of the market and missing out on many of the other industries. They might like to try to do things in healthcare or other areas, but really these are very small. And also there's not a real understanding of risk. You know, what defines risk? People know there's risk in a project, but they don't understand that risk should be looked at from the whole portfolio. If you own a bond, for example, how does that risk match when you hold a gold stock? It's like putting colors together. How do you find a beautiful color from putting them together all together? So I have found that there's not much deep understanding of financial products and financial instruments. The second generation in Australia and third generation now has been lucky, because the first generation did a very good job of setting up the trusts and the structure and the company organization to help them succeed. What that means is they know that young kids will be different, young kids will be naughty, young kids will make mistakes, but they help them make mistakes, but not big mistakes. Yeah. So maybe if they have a $200 million fund, they may give them $1 million to play around and make some mistakes and learn and invest and probably lose, as most young entrepreneurs do. But when it comes to the big investments, they are put away into trusts, in diversified funds, into specific projects. And gradually, as the person becomes more able to be a leader of the wealth, they will gradually give them the opportunity to take over. But they have to prove themselves and they have to work hard, maybe within the family or outside, but it doesn't come easily to them. And they have to give them the opportunity to make mistakes and learn. This is what I said before about not being fear of failure. But the question is not to just fail with everything and lose all the family's wealth. Whereas I find there isn't enough of a plan with the second generation in Chinese people in Australia. A lot of the time it's, I hope to pick the next Afterpay on the stock market, or I hope to pick the next Bitcoin wave. This is not an investing strategy. This is guessing. This is a hope.
Gambling, yeah?
Gambling. A monkey may have the same chance as you to pick the market. And many times you will make lots of money, but like the casino, many times you will lose, and often it's very big losses because everyone loses usually more than they win in the market. The key last point I'll make is the families in Australia, like families in China, they have a natural advantage. They've been here a long time. They know which projects are well supported. They know which projects have money behind them. They know which ones the government will support. And basically, they also know which of their friends are doing it, etc. It's like the same in China. So there is a natural advantage. So if you're not inside the club and you're not inside the really important transactions, you are probably already 3 steps behind. So your risk becomes higher And even if you're the best investor in the world, you can't protect from anything's going wrong. So that's why we try to bring people together of the highest quality in the family office and Australia, because your chances of things going wrong, even if you can't control it, is much lower, because at least you have those people supporting you. But I have found that Chinese have not necessarily always found those collaboration opportunities when they come to invest here.
Yeah, while we speak, I think this morning there had been a meeting of a really big fund designed for significant investors. It's been on to administration. I think the total loss may be, I don't know, close or even over to $100 million. And that's quite unfortunate. Yeah, because because the Chinese investors, they don't have any resources here.
Yes.
They don't know who to trust, basically. And
it's a problem, same problem for Australia in China, right? It's, or any foreign country. And Australia should be safe. Yeah, unfortunately, people have, I hate to say this, but people have looked at Chinese as easy money. Even, I hate to say the word, like dumb money. Some people have said that to me before. Makes me very angry. Because every money should be important. It shouldn't be dumb or smart. But people have said, okay, this project doesn't work because Westerners don't invest. So then we know the Chinese will invest. So we show it to them. And unfortunately, as you know, the people who they trust sometimes do not know the structure of the fund. They don't know the structure of the deal. And then disasters like what we saw today happen. Last year, there were a couple more like that in the property market as well, property funds and property companies. They will keep happening if people continue not to find real partners to trust with. But I don't know what you're saying, John, but I feel like we talk about this a bit. It feels like they're getting smarter, the Chinese, hopefully more sophisticated, and they know they need to find better partners in Australia. Do you feel like it's changing, or is still trusting one or two people they maybe shouldn't? Or how do you feel it's changing?
I think the younger generation will take a different approach, but the wealth are still in the older generation. That's the situation. You don't see a lot of young men and women in their 30s have a lot of money to invest. That's why because the society works very differently. The whole system is different. The legal system, financial monitoring system is different. So people cannot draw on their past experience and apply them here. And when they do that, they're usually wrong. And there are people like that taking advantages from that kind of old habits. I bet you will see that a lot, you know, this scams after scam. And they are taking advantage of the Australians' safety, because they assume the market is well monitored, is perfect. But the whole thing, when the whole thing was a setup, then it is difficult to monitor. It's not monitored by ASIC. How do people tell, you know, that kind of traps and stay away from it? From your experience or as your profession, what would you advise to those investors?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, it's like anything, is you really have to know the people you're investing with and trusting. So if a company doesn't have the basic thing like financial license, the main operating partner and director don't have really good track record and experience and reputation, and it's not that hard to find out. You just have to make a few calls to know whether they have some problem in the past. Were they really successful in their job before? Do people really trust them? Do Australians trust them with their money? That's important. That's the basic due diligence. And sometimes I find the trusted relationship in Australia may not know that, even though they might, you know, be the person to do the checks. They may not really know how to check, or they might be trying to quickly come with a solution, so they don't do the check. So that's the most important thing. You have to find local market validation for anything. I think it's the same for me when I invest in China. It's also, are the really successful, smart people in China doing this deal? Or did I see this because I'm the last one there, and therefore I'm, in Hebrew we say the schmuck.
Schmuck, yeah.
Yeah, the schmuck is like the fool,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, there's a saying.
In Mandarin.
There's a saying in poker, which is a saying in, if you don't know who the schmuck is, you're the schmuck. in the room. So it's the same
what a
thing.
brutal game. Yeah,
brutal. But so the rule really for me is if you can't do that and you're not sure what's happening, it doesn't feel quite right or feels too good to be true, it probably is, because good money is made long term. But then you see all these families, they make money quickly, but they never made the money quickly at the start. It was always long, and then because they're in the groups and they're doing things, then the quick opportunities come.
They're on the table. Yeah.